All right. Welcome to the Austin Downbeat. I'm Kat, your host. I'm so happy to have Adam Sultan on the show today. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. I don't know a ton about you. I kind of stay purposely a little bit uninformed on everything because I really
Understand?
genuinely like to be curious, and I am really curious about you.
Okay.
Um, but first, what I gather from you that I really love is your creativity, not just in the awesome songs that I've heard you put out and that you sing. And we'll talk about those because you have
Mhm.
one that you just released. And then actually, by the time this airs, you will have just released another one, which is super
Right.
cool. But you're also the videos that you put out, you seem to have a lot of fun. Can you talk a little bit about just your background? Because you do, I mean, all of us kind of have to participate in this social media thing, which, can
Yeah.
be a little bit of a slog at times, but you do seem to have a lot of fun and you also make it seem like maybe it's easy for you. So can you talk about, give us a
Wow.
short little masterclass on how you do that?
Wow. I'm honored that you think that. It's very recent, my kind of
Oh,
journey
okay.
into the social media thing. I'm still very cautious and perfectionist, and I'm still not playing the game of, constantly create and upload and do all that.
Yeah.
And I just decided, and I had also some support from friends of mine who were like, just tell your story like your way,
Yeah.
And so I feel like I've always been had a sense of humor and like making little films and things like that. So I just kind of do whatever, but I still don't do it for the algorithms. I don't do it as much as I should, or so I don't have advice as far as that. But I mean, just I think eventually, I mean, everybody, you start watching stuff and you get tired of it sooner or later anyway, or it changes. It's better to just kind of do what you do and trust that in some way. It's
Absolutely.
yeah, it's not. It hasn't made me skyrocket to uh, you know whatever viral fame or anything like that. But I just kind of just fiddle around and do what I do.
Do you
And I do
enjoy?
end up with a lot of ridiculous ideas. I mean, I think I always have, and it's just kind of choosing from some list and seeing what comes.
Yeah. But it seems like you're having fun. And at the end of the day, isn't that kind of all that matters, really? I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I would
Okay.
like it not to though. I mean, because I have fun, and I'm like, I spent a lot of time on this stuff. Is it going to pay off? And if it doesn't, I'm like, is this still fun? You know.
Is it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see that. Yeah. I'm like you. I love making little films. I love cutting things together for friends and I mean it's just so easy to do, especially if you have an iPhone and iMovie, like just to cut
Right.
little things. It's really quite easy. I find a lot of joy in that and like fulfillment in that. But talk a little bit about your background. You and I are both from Los Angeles.
Yes. I was born
Shh,
and raised in West Hollywood.
don't tell anybody.
Too late
They
now.
don't like us here.
Um,
So wait, you're from West Hollywood?
I'm from West Hollywood. Yeah, I came to uh, Austin in the late '80s
Yeah.
and found my way into this band, Poi Dog Pondering, which was a
Mhm.
big '90s
Yeah, it was.
sensation. They're still around in Chicago, but
I just saw Bruce the other day at Sea Boys.
right on. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm actually, this is weird. I'm in Chicago right now,
Okay.
where they are based and still playing, pretty
Wow.
much. And I'm actually staying at Max's house, who is the trumpeter and keyboardist. Um, Never left the band, I guess. Keeps playing. Um, but let's see, uh, West Hollywood, Austin, and then I just kind of played in bands and did my growing up and living here. And in recent years, I've kind of branched out into other creative pursuits, maybe being an internet star, as we all know, writing, performing a little bit, and I'm way into scent also, which is another little
What is that?
niche
Oh,
kind of
scent,
thing.
like
Um,
smells.
like yeah,
Okay.
olfaction, perfume,
Ooh.
whatever it is. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've been actually studying it very deeply.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, so that's was that the answer to the question, the right question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that kind of fascinates me about you is that you seem to have a lot of interests and also pursue those. And I love it when someone does that, because I think sometimes we think we have to be, kind of single faceted in life. And I'm staunch against that. I think we are just innately in this human experience so multifaceted, and you can love lots of things. And I think sometimes, especially for musicians, I hear musicians say, well, we get feedback like, we don't know where to put you and we don't know. It's like, screw that. I don't care. I feel like we should pursue all the things that turn our lights on, and it seems like you do that. And I love it.
Thanks. Yeah, I do that for better or worse. I mean, I wish
Mm.
it kind of was more of a career, but I think it's just it's only in recent years, which is really weird because I've been at this for decades. But it's only very recently that I've like, and probably during the pandemic even, where I was like, I think I'm an artist of some sort. Like, I think I might be a
Mm.
creative person. Like it's kind of all I've been doing is kind of coasting along, doing the bands, doing the creative things. And I was like, yeah, this might be who I am. Maybe I should take this a little more seriously or trust it. So
Yeah.
there's always that. I definitely agree with what you're saying, but I also have my own, doubts and fears all the time. And like, I feel very fortunate that I'm able to kind of like pursue these things. And if I really could, I would just do everything, but you have to
Yeah.
kind of limit yourself.
Do you mean because you at some point have to fold in like something that helps you survive?
Yeah,
That little
that,
thing.
yeah, yeah, mm,
Yeah.
yeah, you know,
We all have that. Yeah, that's a common thing that we talk about here is, you know, that balance of, doing what I believe that there's an intersection in all of us, and the intersection is gifts and passion. And the center of that is really okay, like that's the thing that if we do that, that's the thing that just lights us up and gives us the biggest sense of fulfillment and purpose. Can I do that and also make money doing that? Not always,
right,
so
right,
I hear a lot of different angles on that conversation, from people in all levels of being artistic. It's so interesting. Everyone has kind of a different experience and therefore a different opinion on it.
yeah.
But
And I wonder if having the support also provides the passion in some way. Because,
mhm,
like I can find myself being very lazy about the arts, but when I'm into it, I'm into it. But certainly if I'm into it and I'm getting paid for it or whatever, it's like that might actually increase my both my motivation and my interest in it, and excitement if it's something worthwhile.
definitely.
Whereas if you're just kind of like floating around, which I also have done, it's hard to get motivated, and
And
feel like this is my
equally,
calling.
yeah, but equally too, if you have a really good, steady paying job with benefits and security, I think that also it can be something that sets you free to your passion to be like, I'm gonna go do it as much as I can in my free
Right.
time, nights, weekends, because you feel a sense of security. So I think it kind of works both ways. I think
Yeah.
the important thing is that people really sit and think about it, and ask themselves, how do I make it happen? Because the worst thing is just not being creative. That would be the worst thing, right?
I think the worst thing would be not being happy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Being creative, if
Yeah.
that's what makes you happy. Yeah.
Because I mean, if you can get in a grind about being creative as well, or just compromise because you're creating the type of creativity people need is what's going to give you a living. I don't know.
Yeah. So speaking of creativity, you seem to have a lot of it, and you seem to also have some output, which is cool. So a couple things I want to make sure we talk about.
Yeah.
You recently put out a single, and I love this graphic, The Great Divide. It's
Hmm.
such a great graphic.
Actually,
Really
Matt, now that you
badass.
mentioned, designed it.
Who did?
Max Crawford, the guy I'm staying with.
Oh,
Yeah.
you tell Max tonight that I told him
Yeah.
it's such a perfect graphic.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I really wanted something very just word based and striking. Yeah.
It's absolutely striking.
Cool.
Um, and then so what kind of, as far as like releasing music, you said, are you fairly kind of new to doing that recently? Because you're also in a couple bands.
Yes, my bands are cover bands. We can
Hmm.
talk about those or not.
Yeah.
Magneto, which is a Queen tribute, and Super Creeps, which is a Bowie tribute.
Uh-huh.
I guess by the time this is out, we Super Creeps will have just played 310,
Okay.
Yacht Z, yacht rock band.
Yeah.
But um, what was I saying before the bands?
Your music.
Oh, my music. Yeah, the original stuff. I've been playing off and on in original bands for years, but I've taken a long break. Like my last solo record's like 20 years old or something like that. But
Hmm.
then I got in the Studio 601, big shout out because those guys are amazing. And I just
Awesome.
totally fell in. Michael Ingber, Eric Harrison, and
Oh
my
yeah.
keyboardist for Super Creeps, Andy Nolte, great
Hmm.
musician. And they're both engineers and a rhythm section, Eric and Michael. And
Hmm.
so it was just immediately like being in a great band that got each other somehow.
Mm.
Um, and so I recorded 4 songs with them. Then that journey is now trying to figure out how I'm releasing it. It was going to be a 4 song EP, and my first thought was like, boom, I've got a 4 song EP out. And people are like, slow your roll, Adam. No one will ever hear it, you know? And that's kind of, it's still a little like that because it's never been easier to get your music out. It's also never been harder for people to actually hear it, you know? And that's
Hmm.
part of what actually started my kind of little, internet, social media, like, hey, I'll throw
Yeah.
some stuff out there. And I kind of trust getting back to that's more, that I don't have to worry about like trying to sell the single or the this or the that, and just kind of just again tell a story and however I want to tell it. Um,
Hmm.
Hopefully, people are like, oh, and there's a record. Um, so I released the first 2 singles, and I'm either gonna ideally probably release something once a month, and I'm recording some more stuff with them, and
Oh,
then
great.
have an album by the end of the year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the slow drip appeal. I think that unfortunately, I was born in the 70s and I have memory of laying on the carpet on my belly with an album open and just reading it and poring over it and really just digesting entire albums as just a little tiny girl. We don't do that anymore. I mean, sure, vinyl kind of has come back around, but I still don't think that we're doing that so deeply in our culture. So I think the slow drip is kind of where it's at.
Yeah, and also, yeah, records don't matter anymore because the length of time doesn't matter, and so everything's kind of like a song or whatever. You know,
It's
I,
sad.
I yeah, it is sad, but I'm fine with like because that was originally how it was, singles, and then it became an
Yeah.
EP and
Yeah.
records. So I'm fine with just releasing a song here and a song there, but then
Yeah.
ideally I'll put it all together and I'll still have my album
Yeah. Yeah.
with or without a giant gatefold.
I do love the way that that feels though,
Oh, it's the best. Have you seen Squaring the Circle? It's
No.
it's a documentary about Hypnosis, Gnosis. They're the art team that did like every album cover in the 70s.
Oh gosh, squaring the circle.
It's
I'm gonna write
it's
that down.
amazing, yeah. Like, Dark Side of the Moon and all these things like 10cc and Genesis and
Oh
Led
my
Zeppelin,
gosh.
Houses of the Holy. It's Yeah,
I
if you're
love
into
a
art.
good documentary about music. So good. Yeah. So let's see. So Hard to Kill is the one that just came out. You want to
Yes.
talk a little bit about that song? So good.
Thank you. Yeah. Let's see. Well, the first song, "The Great Divide," is much more of a rocker, and I
Mhm.
purposely these 4 songs that I'm putting out are very different from each other.
Mhm.
This is a little bit, I wouldn't say folk, but definitely acoustic,
Yeah.
and it was a play on uh, the word "kill." Like, hard to kill might be a survival thing, but also hard to like win at
Mhm.
finding yourself in a place like we're talking about, where it's hard to make a splash. And that's kind of what the song's about.
Yeah. Do you what is your writing process like? When do you like how do you approach writing? You're a super creative guy. What's your
Here's this,
angle?
this here's the sad. This is the sad, sad truth.
Be the truth.
Left to my own devices, I will. labor over a song for years, and I've done that in the past and
Really?
never quite feel like it's right. But in recent years, I joined a songwriting group or another.
Mhm.
Um, One of them is Soul Writer University, which is on Facebook, and you're responsible for a song every week, given a prompt, and you have to write it, record it, and upload it. And for me, it was is completely liberating because I just went in being like, who cares? Like I will get this
Yes.
out in 10 minutes. And I swear to God, like every song that I have like in the queue right now is from that group. So my
Wow.
process is like have a deadline and one idea and just go for it. Like that's the best way to write. And honestly, when I don't have that kind of commitment, those kind of deadlines, whatever, it's very hard for me to have any kind of process.
That's very interesting. I would think that you're learning a lot about yourself, just because you mentioned you're perfectionist or have that kind of tendency. And everyone I've talked to about songwriting is just like, most people do those songwriting groups because it helps them be less precious with it.
Hmm. Yeah,
Right. And that's, I'm hearing that across the board, that that's just so helpful, that because our tendency is just to like overthink it, and
yeah,
you could drive yourself nuts, I guess. That's really cool that all the songs are really kind of from that.
pretty much. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and
Have
there's so
you
many.
have you been able to kind of apply that anywhere else? So that kind of, that muscle,
Yeah,
does it kind of get working anywhere else in your life?
well, it's kind of where I'm going with social media posts,
Yeah.
because it was like I'm gonna send something out and people will see it. Let's take a few months, and I don't know, but I,
Yeah.
s- I still want something to look good. There's a little bit about having some good quality material, but I don't take it so seriously. There are other things I don't know, like writing. I write short stories and might be writing a nonfiction book, working on something there. But
Cool.
that's a little bit more. I can't just like
You can't wing that.
let go and just say like done. That's a kind of more laborious, which I really love. Like I love rewriting and editing, and
Yeah.
yeah, I love editing my podcasts. Another thing I do
I was going
as
to
well.
ask you about friends with deficits. I want to say benefits.
Yeah,
No, deficits.
yeah.
I listened to one. Somehow it just so happened to time up, and I saw that you did it, and I saw the word hemochromatosis,
Oh yeah.
because one of my best guy friends has hemochromatosis and
Huh.
was diagnosed, and he's a really close friend. We don't live in the same state, but we're, talk quite a bit, and
Hmm.
and I was like, there with him during all that diagnosis, and it was craziness, like
Yeah.
absolute craziness. And then to hear you and I listened to it and I sent it to him. I was like, I sent that episode two of yours to him to listen, just to make him feel like a little bit less alone, because it's just not something that you hear about.
Yeah.
But so that was really cool.
An interesting thing about that is Scott Morishon, who's the guest with hemochromatosis, which is a surplus of iron in the blood.
I literally call my friend Iron Man.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what the title of this was Iron Man.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's why I laughed.
We're both so clever. But I met him, or just kind of introduced myself to him through another podcast he was on, which was a perfume podcast because he's a perfumer, a professional perfumer.
Oh,
And I asked him, I geeked out and asked him a bunch of questions. Then he wrote back and he's like, by the way, I really like your podcast and I have this thing. And I was like, score. So
double school.
worlds collide. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. So how did all that come about, that podcast?
The podcast, many years ago, I have a friend who's got Huntington's disease, and another friend who's a choreographer, wanted to have her make a score based on the story, like her spoken word story about her journey, and have
Mm,
bits of this dialogue in the score. And so I had to interview my friend, or she asked me to do that. And while we were doing it, it was kind of ridiculous and stiff because I'm like, so Huntington's disease, and I
yeah.
very, very close. And she's like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, let's make a cocktail. And then we hung out with a cocktail in my living room, and just had this amazing conversation. And I was like, this could be really cool if only I had another friend who had something going on. And my next friend was Jeff Hoskins, who's a drummer. I'm actually going to be playing with him in the Flying Saucers reunion at
Mm.
the Liberty, or what is it called? The not the Liberty Lunch reunion. The uh, oh my God, I feel so bad for like not remembering what this is. It's at the end of April.
Okay.
Um, I'll get back to that one and
Yeah,
uh,
it'll
hey,
pop up in your mind mid-story and
that's
you're
the
gonna
name of the
yell it
song.
out.
Um, it's yeah, it's
That's
called
okay.
Beware. Whatever. Anyway, I'm going off on these tangents. He's had this degenerative eye disease, and so I interviewed him, and it kind of went from there. Just sort of reaching out to friends, and then or making a public plea and meeting somebody I don't even know, that kind of stuff.
Does it have to be like define deficit? Let's get some guests on your podcast here. Like
Yeah, deficit.
how does the pendulum swing on
Yeah,
deficit?
I've had everything from like people who can't recognize faces to like
Wow.
fugitives to you know somebody who's hyper sweaty, like kind of everything. Generally, it falls in a health category,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's just about there's some kind of traumatic origin stories or something kind of funny and quirky.
Yeah.
Not that often, but the general thing is like I'm looking for interesting stories that aren't super common. Like
Hmm.
cancer doesn't make the cut, unfortunately,
Right.
even though it's major. But I shouldn't. I say that kind of lightly.
Yes.
Uh, but also another important thing that I discovered making this is that there's always some sense of resilience coming from the
Hmm.
guests, and if there isn't, if they feel really like a victim or they're really suffering really bad, they're not on the show. They either
Yeah.
don't, we either kind of like don't cross what like never quite get it going, or maybe I interview them and I'm like, you know what, I don't think we have a story yet.
Yeah.
So it's actually very uplifting, but it can get really heavy. Some of them are
I would
really
imagine so. Personally, may I share my deficit or one of them, one of the
good.
millions? I have this thing with velvet. It makes my throat like I stop, like I can't breathe around velvet.
Velvet.
And the thought of velvet,
Mhm.
I'm staying really strong right now just talking about it. But like the thought of it makes my eyes water and like my
Just
throat get thick.
just velvet. Is this a
Velvet.
psycho? Is it a psychological thing? Is it
I
psychosomatic?
think so. I think
All right,
so.
you're gonna be on my podcast then. Sorry, you just made the cut. So,
It was 1979 and I was in the
save
console
it,
of my
save it,
grandmother's red
save
caddy.
it, save it, save it. It's for my show.
All right.
I'm gonna get back to you on that. See, that's it. That's the kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right,
I have,
yay.
I've only had one other guest with the velvet thing.
Really? Oh, okay.
No.
I must meet my people.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh, so much fun. See, this is what I said in the beginning. There's so many fun things to talk to you about because I love that you do all the things. So let's recap for folks because
Okay.
this is going to air early April. So
Mm-hmm.
they need to go check out. You will have two songs out by now, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Great
Yeah.
Divide with the kick-ass, super
Perfect.
striking logo that they're going to see when they pull it up on Spotify. I don't know what Hard to Kill looks like. So I didn't
It's
get an
a
advanced copy of that image. I only got to hear the song, which is
uh,
awesome.
you can
But
pre-save it, and the artwork's in it.
okay, pre-save
It
it. Okay.
it's in. I have in any of my links in the last 9 days have pretty much have like a pre-save link there.
Okay, so that's my bad. I need to do a little more digging. I'm gonna find that out. But we get two of your songs. And then also, if we want to see you in action on stage, you're performing with your cover bands anytime soon. I think we're just missing one.
Just missed one of them. Yeah, and
Mhm.
that's all that's on the books right now.
Okay.
And then the Flying Saucers, which was uh, a kind of shoegazery psychedelic band back in the
Hmm.
'90s. We're having this reunion.
Cool.
at the Nameless Club.
At that mystery club that now you're gonna have to figure out what that is. I'll put it,
Keep saying Liberty Lunch. It's yeah.
I'll put it in the notes of this episode somewhere. Well, Adam,
Electric Lounge. Thank you.
Electric Glow.
Oh my God. I was
Now
like, they're
you can
gonna
go to
have my
sleep.
head.
Sleep tonight.
Electric.
What were you saying?
What's that?
What place were you saying? You were like
Oh,
saying
Liberty Lunch. Do you know?
Liberty.
Heard of that club? Have you heard of it?
No,
No. That is a fixture. That's like old Austin. Yeah.
it's still around.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
okay.
Yeah, they've had Liberty Lunch reunions. They're having Electric Lounge reunions. Who knows? What will be
Okay.
next?
Well, I want to go to both.
It's at 310.
Oh, nice.
ATL 310. Yeah, since
Nice.
the building's no longer there. So
Oh, bummer. Bummer. I know they're knocking down some of the cool things. Adam Sultan, thank you so much for stopping by the show. It's such a pleasure to
thanks
get
for
a
having
chance
me.
to talk to you.
Thanks a lot. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
All right. That does it for this episode. We have to say goodbye to Adam, but you know where to catch him. And we will see you guys next time.